Yeah, I want to talk to you tonight about seasons. I don't know how many of you guys, everybody's kind of has a favorite season. How many of your favorite season is summer? Any summer fans here, right? What are the things you like about summer? No school. What else? It's hot. What else? Sleep in, beach. Yeah, like for me, it's like, I don't know, it's rainbow sandals, board shorts, and tank top season. You know what I mean? It's like, but you know what happens? Sometimes when summer ends, like the thing about seasons is you get really excited about it, you love it, you look forward to it, but when it ends and it comes back to the school year, I know we all think we hate going into a new season, a new school year, but how many of you, when fall hits, there are things about fall that you like? Let's be honest. Okay, what do we like about fall? Yeah, football. Okay, what else do you like about fall? Rain? Okay, so seasons change. Then, once December comes about, it's getting cold. We're a little bit bummed. The whole hot season's done. But what are the exciting things when December rolls around and winter rolls around? What? Soccer, wrestling, Christmas. It's like, isn't there something too, as the winter comes and like Christmas music starts and Starbucks comes out with their red cups and everybody starts wearing their scarves and eggnog. Isn't it just wonderful? But then you kind of get sick of the cold after a while. And then when spring comes, like how many of you guys love spring? Like what's exciting about spring? What, track? Is that what you said? Project 805, that's right. It gets green, right? And there are things that we look forward to. It's starting to get warm. You know, the cool thing about seasons, and I think this is why God blessed us with seasons, is that there are seasons in our lives, and it's funny because as seasons close, you kind of always look back. You look back at the end of a summer. How many of you guys do that? And you just go, wow, like, that was fun, man. We went to Hume Lake. It was a blast. Like, we have those seasons where we look back and we rejoice in it and everything, but then we look to the future, and there are beautiful things there. I want to share with you a scripture before we get into things tonight, Ecclesiastes chapter 3. It's really cool. The wisest guy to ever live, Solomon, he gets to this point in his life, and he just goes like, hey, we have seasons in our life for different things, and it's kind of cool. Ecclesiastes 3 says this, there is an appointed time for everything, and there's a time for every event under heaven, a time to give birth and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to uproot what is planted, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to tear down and a time to build up, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance, a time to throw stones and a time to gather stones, a time to embrace and a time to shun embracing, a time to search and a time to give up as lost, a time to keep and a time to throw away, a time to tear and a time to mend, a time to be silent and a time to speak, a time to love and a time to hate, a time for war and a time for peace. I think what Solomon was trying to say was there's a season for everything, and throughout our life we hit different periods of things in our life in different seasons that come and go. How many of you guys were at church this last weekend? Okay, cool. This last weekend, I kind of shared, and tonight's going to be a little personal. I'm just going to give you a little warning. Most of the time I just kind of preach the word. Tonight, I'm going to be speaking a little bit out of the word, but a little bit's just going to be personal and a journey that I've been going through. How many of you heard about the announcement of something I made this last weekend? How many of you have no clue what I'm talking about? Okay, cool. This last weekend in church, kind of just let everybody know that there's a new season that's coming about in my life personally. After being here for 15 years and leading this youth group for the last 15 years, God is calling me to a new season. And so I am going to be, as we've been talking about, as Brandon Hall coming on, I am going to be moving from church staff as we know it. I'm still going to be very involved here. I'm going to be preaching here and things like that. But I have a family business. It's my last name, Weatherby. We make really cool guns. And have been doing so. My grandpa started the company 70 years ago. And so my dad has ran it for most of his life for almost 40 years. And so I'm going to be actually taking over our family business. We sell these hunting rifles and shotguns in stores like around the world, and it's kind of been this family legacy, and it's always been in the back of my mind. In these last several months, I've really felt God calling me to go and do that with my job, to go and to just carry on this family business. Has been around for 70 years, and my dad is wanting to retire and allow for me to run that company. And so I'm going to go from being a youth pastor to a CEO, which eventually, I know some of you guys are like, I can't see that. We're going to give it a go, and I'm going to see what I can do. And I know a lot of you guys have kind of heard about that and that change, and I know that affects you guys. And so tonight I want to talk about that season of change in my life and how we can also learn and grow from understanding and celebrating in different seasons in our own lives. And that there are times and transitions that we're all going to have. And I know that some of you, this is going to affect you, and we're going to talk about that because you're like, wait, I've always come to Highlife, and Adam's always been here for a lot of you. And so that may be changing for you, especially if you're freshman, sophomore, junior. For seniors, you're like, good riddance, I'm out of here anyways. But for a lot of the rest of you, this is going to be a spot where it's going to change for you. And I want to kind of talk about that and how we deal with seasons in our life, and then ultimately how those seasons lead us forward in looking on to the next season. I think leave here with some hope tonight. And so I think it's kind of cool. Just a little bit of my story, coming into this. I worked for our family business, if you didn't know, back when you guys were in preschool. And 15 years ago, so for some of you right when you were born, how many of you are 15? How many of you were born 99 or 2000? Anybody here? Okay, so right around then, I came to work here when you were born, which makes me feel really old right now. And ever since then, I've just had a heart, obviously, for the young people here at the church, in which I still do, and that's why I'm here. And part of my story with that is I've come here, and Brenda and I have been here together, just leading this youth group and having a bunch of amazing memories with a whole lot of people over a lot of different years. And I always kind of thought I'd be doing this maybe the rest of my life, and that I'd be a full-time pastor the rest of my life. Because I absolutely love this. I love everything about it. And I love doing this. I love getting up in front of you guys every week here teaching. And the cool thing is, with what we've talked about is I'm going to go to work at a new place, but I'm still going to do a whole lot of teaching. I'll travel and speak. As you guys know, I do that a lot. Next week, I'm going to speak at Hume, Hawaii, which is going to be a real bummer. And so I'm going to do that with my daughter, Dana. They do a camp for Hawaiian kids, and so we're heading over there next week. And I'm going to continue to do speaking. I'm going to continue to use my gifts for the Lord. I'm going to continue to try to invest in people's lives and use my time, talent, and treasures for the kingdom, just like you guys are trying to do, just like your hub group leaders are going to do. I'm just not going to come to work here every day. And somebody else is going to be leading the youth group. So there are going to be some changes, but I'm excited about the changes. It's going to look a little different, obviously, for me in my life, and ultimately this youth group that we're going to kind of talk about. I think there's been seasons of change, and I kind of want to go over those with you guys tonight. I think that sometimes as you grow up as a high school kid, you kind of see the here and now, and you see what we have here. And even as Corey talked about when the Student Center was built, I think sometimes it's kind of cool to go back and look at our history. For those of you that are really a part of Highlife, it's kind of cool for you to understand that if you were to look at, let's say this ministry, and let's say Highlife is a book, that this right now, this is a chapter. It's a chapter in our life. A lot of you have had different chapters in your life, and maybe there are different parts of your life where those chapters have turned. In this spot, in Highlife, this is a changing maybe of a chapter and a new chapter beginning. But it's all one really big story that God's telling. The story's actually not about me, and the story's ultimately not about you. It's about God. And it's about God reaching out to young people in this community. And thousands of young people on this campus and in this place have somehow been touched by really a lot of years of something happening. And we're kind of this chapter in the middle, if you would. And the season's changing and a new chapter's beginning. The cool thing is we don't know what's ahead, but God's going to continue, I really strongly believe, to do amazing things here. I know that this will look a little bit different for you guys here, and we're going to kind of talk about that, and those things are going to happen, and we talked about it on Sunday morning. We have, just so you guys know, kind of right off the bat, a lot of you want to get to the bottom line, how does this affect me? Who's going to be my youth pastor? How many of you guys had Mike Smith as your junior high youth pastor? Cool. Mike Smith is going to continue to do ministry here at ABC, and he is going to head up all of our youth ministries. And so Mike is going to kind of be in charge of all of our student ministries, junior high and high school, here at ABC. And so he'll be doing teaching from time to time. He'll be overseeing junior high, and he's going to be around a lot. How many of you guys love Mike Smith? I mean, there's nothing not to love about Mike Smith, right? So Mike is going to be around, and Mike is going to continue here. His season is here, and his season is now, and Mike is not going anywhere. And so that's really exciting. Mike's been here for almost 5 years now, and I know he's spoken to a lot of your lives. And Mike is just amazing. Mike's a smart guy. I go to him for advice all the time because he's just a lot smarter than me. And I love the guy. And he's super fun. And so Mike is going to be here heading up student ministries. But we brought on a new guy, and I talked about it this weekend in church, to actually head up the high school group and to give direct oversight to the high school group. You know, in the Bible, it calls like a pastor a shepherd. So in a sense, like you guys are sheep, and I get to be a shepherd. Kind of fun, right? And so we have Brandon Hall is a really good friend of mine that we have brought on staff here. And there is Brandon and Jenna and their little one. They have two. Was there another one? Didn't I email you? I thought I emailed you a picture of him with his two kids. He has two little ones like that now. That one's bigger. And he's also got a sister here in the front row. And so Brandon and Jenna actually grew up in this youth group, as did Brandon. They were a part of Highlife years ago. And Brandon was actually my intern, I think in like 05, 06. Brandon was my intern, much like Reese is right now. And he has gone away and he like got a Bible degree and just kind of, he got all smart on us. But then he's been a youth pastor in another city, most recently in San Luis Obispo, the last 3 years. So God's been doing a work in his life. He's like 10 years younger than me, so he's really young. I'm really old. And so him and Jenna are going to come here and are really excited. Who did we get there? Wow, where did you get these? I didn't give you these pictures. Did you just get on his Facebook right now and just swipe it? You just swiped it off his Facebook. Cool. Well, now you can see his grandparents and sisters and brothers and father and mother. That's funny. You can pull that off. Thanks, Corey. I'm worried about what he's going to find next. So Brandon is going to come. Brandon is going to be here soon. Brandon and I are going to finish out the school year together, and we'll talk about specifics of that. But the bottom line is, into the future and into next year, Brandon is going to come, and he is going to carry this kind of into the new season. And I'm really, really excited about that, and we'll talk a little bit more about that as time goes by. But he is just, I couldn't be more happy, honestly. He is just, once you get to know Brandon, you just love Brandon, and he's an amazing, amazing guy. It was funny because this week I was thinking, okay, well, I know I talked about a big change at church, and I really wanted to tell you guys first, but we were worried one of you guys would sneak it out on some sort of, I don't know, tweet or something, and then everybody in the world would know before the church would know. So we trusted you, but not all of you. There's one or two that we were worried about. And so we didn't tell you first, and I know I had to kind of tell the whole church. I really wanted to tell you guys. And so tonight I just want to have an open conversation about it and let you know the excitement that I have for Brenda and I in our new stage of life, that I will still be involved here at ABC a lot and want for you guys to know that, but that Brandon and Mike and Nicole and Corinne and the team of people will be here to really lead this youth ministry along with a whole bunch of other people. And so as you look at it and go, wait, there's change, if we could have hub group leaders stand up real quick. There are a bunch of people here, and they're here through this season of life too. Aren't these hub group leaders amazing? And so... Okay, you guys can have a seat. All these hub group leaders, who a lot of you are they're really your shepherd. They're the ones you look to kind of guide you through life. They're going to be here through this season of change, even within the midst of our youth group. They're going to be here to just love you guys, be here and everything. And so really excited about that. And the staff's been super supportive of me in this change. And again, just excited to see what God's gonna do in our life. I want to tell you 3 things that I believe happens with change, with differing seasons. I think it's things we can learn in our life as we go through. You're going to have it. Those of you seniors in June, you're going to be having a change of season, a big one. It's like the end of the ultimate summer, right? And that season's going to be there. All you guys are going to hit graduation from high school, kind of the big next major change in season. When big changes in seasons happen, I want to tell you 3 things that I think we kind of go through and what we can learn from those things. The first one is this. Change brings a closure to the past. That when change happens, although we look forward and we always think about how does this affect me now and where I'm going, it's important that we understand that when we experience seasons of change, sometimes to look back. That's why, at graduation of high school's time, what do? You focus on, sure, I'm headed out to college and all those things, but how many of you seniors are about to experience this change? And right now, you're looking back, though, and reflecting on a lot of your memories. Are you guys there? And you're just like, oh, I remember freshman year. And if you just listen to seniors, it drives you nuts sometimes. They just sit back and tell stories about their life. They're like, oh, I remember sophomore year that one time, and as senior year gets close to an end, there's this moment where you start to really look back. And it's healthy to look back. Whenever you experience seasons of change in your life, I want for you to know it's healthy to look back, to celebrate, to not want to go relive it, right? I know your seniors are going to want to relive your glory days and be the big men on campus again. You can't, all right? Or the big women on campus. Like, you can't go back and relive that. It's gone. It's done. But it's important to go back and to really celebrate in those things. Naturally, for me, I don't typically look back. I just always look forward. So I was thinking about this change. I'm like, man, I'm excited to tell the youth group about the change and everything. And I had Pastor Tom and Mike, and people just go, Adam, you know what you need to do with the youth group Wednesday? And I'm like, what? They said, you need to look back. Because during seasons of change, it's important to look back. You get to the end of the summer, you look back. You go, what's this summer about? And you look back and you get excited about those beach trips. You get excited about those Hume Lakes. And you remember what that season was like. So I want to do that with you for a few moments tonight. And so you're going to have to humor me on this a little bit, okay? But I want for you to understand, like, where Highlife has been, again, to bring you up to speed to really where you are today. And if I could, for you to understand a little bit about this last season of Highlife, because a lot of you are going to be, I know you seniors are getting ready to leave, but a lot of you are a part of, yes, the present and the future direction of Highlife, and that you could realize tonight, if you think, wow, this is a big change, that you'll see, wait a minute, there is so much rich history, and yet God is continuing to tell his story, and he's going to continue to move it in the future. So here's what I did. Tom and Mike were like, you know what you need to do, Adam? You need to go back and look at pictures, because, Adam, you don't look back. You need to go back, you need to look at pictures, and just recollect a little bit about what God's done at Highlife. So here's what happened. I, for a long time, was like, okay, I'm excited, and Brandon's coming. I'm just excited about my change. And yesterday morning, I got on my laptop, and I started to look back at pictures from the last 15 years. And I'm just going to be honest, I just lost it. I cried like a baby. Like, I just looked through these pictures and was reliving, like, these things and just going, this was an amazing time. Like, there were some incredible people that are in here, and I'm going to show you some pictures here in a moment. We're going to do, like, a little, like, history slideshow lesson, and you're going to laugh at some pictures of different people in this room. But as I looked at what God's done through this ministry and the hundreds and hundreds of lives that have come through here and been impacted, I just praised God and said, God, thank you. Thank you for allowing me to be a part of this season. I'm not going to cry tonight. Darn it. And I just said, God, it was a time of, like, praise. I had no regrets. I just look back and I go, God, it was a beautiful season up until this point. And it was a time of celebration for me. And I ran out of the office like midday, and I put my sunglasses on, and I was just like crying like a baby because I was just looking back and seeing everything that God did. So here's what I'm going to do. I want to relive some of this with you tonight. And you guys are going to have to humor me in this, okay? I'm being just an old guy tonight, reliving a little bit of this. But I want for you to kind of see, and it's going to catch us up to present, and even a few of you guys are going to have a moment on the screen tonight. I didn't ask you for your permission, but you're going to be up there. And I want for you to see kind of the amazing things that God's done. So I'm going to see if I have control of this. Yes. Anybody know who that guy is with me there? That's Rich Fisher. So here's what's cool. Rich Fisher came when I was a freshman in high school. And Rich, he was my shepherd. He was a youth pastor here. The first full-time guy we ever hired to be a youth pastor. And he was all about, he took us all the way through the 90s. Like, he was the guy who led me. This was a time at the beach where we did a baptism together several years ago. To me, if you guys don't know who Rich is, I just wanted to show you a picture of him. Because he shaped who I am. If you don't know, Rich died in 2010. He's in his late 50s and kind of died unexpectedly and got sick. And he was here on staff. And Rich married my wife and I. He did our wedding ceremony. Just a huge mentor in my life, and I wouldn't be here today without him. And I just want you guys to know that's who Rich is. And I just think that's important for you to know, because I know for a lot of you, you may have been too young then and you just didn't know who he was. But he's the guy who started this. He came up with this thing called Highlife, and all I did was just run with it. He handed me the baton, much like I'm going to do to Brandon and Mike and a team of people, and he just handed it to me. And he said, Adam, you just take this thing. And he's the one who believed in me and empowered me and able to do that. So anyways, I'm so sorry. I'm not going to cry. One of the big things, hold on. Oh, there we go. One of the big things as I was looking through is just for me, like my own family, that my family's got to be a part of this ministry. And a lot of you guys have been able to speak into my family. How many of you guys have been on a missions trip or something and my kids have been along at some point? And you know what's been cool? They have had hundreds of really cool role models. And they have gone on all these trips. They have been to Costa Rica, I don't know how many times. I mean, they've been there probably eight times. They've done the Costa Rica trip. They've been to Hume Lake 27 times. Yeah, I know, it's kind of crazy. And so you're like, lucky. So my kids, these are just a few pictures of, that was them in Mexico when they were little. And if you know my kids now, I mean, my son's in junior high group now. And these are just pictures. These are all from youth trips. That was Costa Rica when we do the mud games. That's when my daughter makes me do the mud course in Costa Rica. And as I look through there, I just think of all the great people that they've had to look up to and role models. And some of you and a lot of you staff that are here tonight, you guys have been role models for my kids. And they've just been a huge part of my thing. And so that's cool. This kid right here, nope, let's see. This kid right here, that's Brandon. This is one of the first youth trips I did. Many, many years ago, we did a backpacking trip. And Brandon came through our youth group, so I thought it'd be cool to show you a few pictures of Brandon. Like, he's like 27 now, and this is obviously when he's in our youth group. This is when we went to Fresno. How many of you guys did Fresno outreach trip? This is a few pictures of Brandon back when he was in Fresno. And this is him here with some guys. You recognize that's at King's Estates. Anybody been there? Any high schoolers been over there, done like kids club, Bible club? Here's Brandon. This is what's so cool. Brandon was a junior or senior in high school. And what's really cool is, look at, he's sitting there teaching them the Word of God, and he's 17 years old, and here he is today, 10 years later, and he's taken over this youth ministry. Isn't that cool? It's cool just to see the chapters of what God does, and then I look out here and I go, 10 years from now, what are some of you guys going to be doing? Because I've seen you guys rock it on missions trips, and I've seen you guys do these things, and I'm like, what's God going to be doing with you guys if he can grab a kid like Brandon? Isn't that cool? There's another picture of him. Here, I found one with him and Nicole driving the van years ago. So Nicole wanted me to show pictures of her and Corinne that I was going to show, but I thought I'd surprise them instead. Here we are, there, too. There's another picture of Brandon. And then check this picture out. Okay, see the girl in the blue and white striped shirt? Okay, do you see her? Little thin thing in the middle? That's Brandon's wife. This was on a youth trip I led, okay, probably 14 years ago when Jenna was like I think she was incoming 7th grade or something at that point. She came through this youth group. And that's Brandon's wife. So, yeah, I think that's kind of cool. Another thing as I was looking back through is I started to look through the amazing leaders that God has brought this church. And one of the cool things is I hope you guys are thankful for your hub leaders and the people that have volunteered. I'll be honest with you. I've worked on staff here for 15 years. It's a blast. But they pay me to do this. I get paid. Your hub group leaders, they don't get paid to do this. Like there's a couple of them that do, right? But most of them, they just come because they love you guys. And I started to look back through a bunch of people that I work with, both those that I work with on staff and just, I don't know, a bunch of sweet memories of all the godly leaders that have been in this church. And I think if you guys were to aspire to be like some of these people I'm about to put up on the screen and that sit around here and lead these hub groups, I think it's a big part of who we are in the past. It's a big part of who we're going to be in the future. And what's really cool is I've already seen this thing come full circle, that some of the senior guys right now are my son's leader. CJ, just pick on CJ for a minute. CJ, and some of these other guys, but CJ for a moment, I got this email from CJ a little bit ago, and he said, Adam, thanks for investing in me over the last several years. And he said, I look forward to now investing in your son for the next several years. He said 6 years, and I'm going to hold him to it. But what's so cool is that I get to pour into CJ's life, and now CJ's doing it in my son's life. And then hopefully my son someday is going to do the same thing. And I hope you guys are starting to look at that and go, wait a minute. I want to be like these people. So here are some just great leaders. Christopher Ree, Mark Miranda, next to a Weber. Oh, one of the greatest memories of my life. No, just amazing men of God. Ben Tomasini. Yeah, isn't that cute? Anybody know her? That's right. Anybody know them? Look at that, huh? Isn't that cool? There's Abel Miller. He's over a missionary in Africa right now, full time. Grew up in this youth ministry, and he's out there. He's served here. Here's a few oldies. Anybody remember them? That's Corinne in the middle, next to Bobby and Ryan at the very first Awaken conference that we ever had. Past guys that have worked here. There's Shelly and Shannon. There's Mike Smith the first time we took him to Costa Rica. He was afraid of ants. He was deathly afraid of ants biting his ankles the entire time. Guys like Andrew Morey. By the way, man, if I had a dollar for every hot dog we cooked at a carnival in the last 10 years, I would be a millionaire, huh? Yep. There is Nicole with nacho cheese next to Kelly. I just had to put a couple. Nicole, I don't know. I just couldn't resist. Anybody know the guys on the right? That's Brian Pogue, and he was junior high youth pastor before Mike Smith got here. But again, just somebody else. And Brian is a youth pastor down in Southern California right now. So again, it's so cool to see how he's at a big church down there, and God's using him. And then this guy here, this is in Mexico with Reg, and Reggie and I have been on dozens and dozens and dozens of trips together doing missions work. And this is back when we used to do Mexico. And then there's guys like Jason. Same thing. Then here's what's cool. You get a guy like Reggie, he's done construction for years on missions trips, so he can go and serve people. And then he sees a guy like Jason, that's the generation beyond him. What does he do? Trains up Jason. And Jason's been on many trips without Reggie, and him and Jamie and some other guys. They had the things up, along with Johnny and a whole bunch of other people. Jamie and Kathy, their leadership, and Jamie doing the same thing. Cool picture at 805. This is a good one of Corey. And then to really see kind of, the heart of Corey Miller. This was a long time ago. Reese. Corinne in Costa Rica. Any of you remember Casey Coleman? This is when Casey was in high school, and he's gone and been a missionary and done a number of things. And then here's just some legendary guys. So that's Brandon on the far right, Aaron and Abel Miller, and Jed, and that was down in Mexico. Really cool memories. And then wouldn't be complete without your swim coach. Stan McDonald, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Nicole. I was waiting for somebody to laugh. This is the rest stop we used to always stop at on the way to every trip, and there's Trevor Fisher giving a typical look. So here's some events we've done over the years, just looking back at all the events. We used to do a backpack trip. This was one long ago, and that's us on a backpack trip a long time ago. This is a lake trip we used to do way back in the day, out at the lake. Anybody recognize some of those guys? Pretty cool. This was that same one. I believe that is Nicole on the far right in the red sweatshirt. Now, Nicole was a leader on this trip. Were you not, Nicole? Were you a leader on this trip? Yeah. So again, just to see generationally how things go and how things change. Is that Clayton in the lower left there? That's Clayton McDonald down there. This is, how many of you guys have been on a study break trip? This is one of our study break trips. It's me and Brenda, and then there's Chris Simning with us on a study break trip. Who remembers Chris from Awaken? We did a lot of Mexico trips. This was before your time. None of you guys got to do a Mexico trip with us, I don't think. This is Nanny and Cheryl, missionaries down there. How many of you staff made it on a Mexico trip with us? So we got some of them and crazy memories. Here's what shows how long the Berards have been doing this thing. Hey, Chris, how's it going, bro? Yeah, there's another one later, actually, of Chris. Yeah, there's Shorty. That's back when he was Shorty. Here's the McDonald family down in Mexico. Look at that. So those are some great Mexico trips. Hume Lake and staff. Hume Lake. Then we got Costa Rica trips along the river and all those fun things. Here's a picture from last year. Who didn't want to get in where everybody else was, huh? There's Ida and Brenda. Here's some of the gals. 805. How many of you going to 805 this year, by the way? 805. Here's LA. This was homeless karaoke when me and a few guys did In Sync or something. So, yeah, me and Casey were singing it. Corey with his evil red eyes. The best part about this picture was, yes, Corinne was doing karaoke. So there she was in the red shirt. She doesn't like me anymore forever. This is Awaken, the first ever Awaken that we did. And it's weird because sometimes I look back at these pictures and I don't remember things I did. For instance, this. What's funny about this is it's funny in front, and then you look at Ryan Millar with a cow with udders hanging off, and that's pretty hilarious too, so there's everything enjoyable. So Corinne, if you're mad at me, this is embarrassing for myself as well, but I seriously remember back, and I was talking to a guy the other day I did youth ministry with 20 years ago, right when I started in Santa Barbara. He said, remember that one time we wore those spandex, bike shorts on stage? And I'm like, what are you talking about? And things I don't remember. I was at that Awaken. It was Clayton. Who got baptized at Avila? Anybody got baptized down there during our things? Man, I got the opportunity of baptizing so many people over the years and just being a part of that. It's Kelsey, a good friend. Remember when Joey got baptized? And there's me and Reg baptizing somebody. And by the way, me and Brenda, we used to lead worship long before you guys were around. There we are. Look, I was so cool. In the 90s, that was cool, guys. And one of the coolest things has just been to see kids grow up over the years and to watch people grow up. Like Chris Berard again. Anybody recognize that kid? It's been cool to see kids grow up. Right, Matisse? These are all old youth trips, right, Elisha? These all just came off my computer from good old youth trips. Yep. Aww. Right, Sawyer? And then on a more serious note, there's Kyle. And that was just a little jaunt down the last 15 years of my life. And that with change brings a closure to the past and to look at those things and to remember back and just go, all of those things have led us up to where we are right now. And it's okay when seasons change to look back and go, that was a great season. And for me, that's what my heart's been doing, just looking back going, God, thanks for the years, the incredible time, and the lives that have come through. And then it brings us to the present. Here's the thing about, if change brings a closure to the past, change brings uncertainty to the present. Uncertainty. Where we go, okay, that means I'm now stuck going, okay, God, what does this mean for me when change and when seasons change? It's like, God, what am I doing right now? And we mull over those things. We mull over uncertainty. For me, in my life and in changing occupations, I never have. It's like I've been here forever, and it's to me like it's a big change for me, and it's a lot of uncertainty. And for some of you, with this change, you may be kind of processing with those things as well. And here's the cool thing. Hebrews 11:1. I think if we have this back there, it says this. Now faith is being sure of what we hope for and certain of what we do not see. Here's the thing about changing seasons. The uncertainty about the future requires faith on our part. Faith to believe that God has great things for our future. For me right now, this is a journey of faith where I'm stepping out and going, God, you're calling me to this. This sounds scary. I don't know exactly what I'm doing. But it's that, remember when Peter walked on water and he just had to step off of the boat? And that's kind of where Brenda and I have been finding ourselves in this journey in our life. And I think if you ever find yourselves in the midst of seasons of change, it's really where our faith is put to the test. Because faith is being sure of what we hope for and certain of what we don't see. It doesn't take a lot of faith when everything's mapped out before us. Right? When plans go as they should, there's not a lot of faith. But it's in areas of our life when kind of the rug gets pulled out from under us, areas in our life where our journey changes. Whether we make those changes, like this change I've made this decision, but there are changes in our life that come that we don't want the changes, but they come. A change in our family. Maybe it's our parents and their marriage. I don't know what. Maybe it's you move, big things. And they come, or the end of senior year, it's coming. Whether you want it to, it's not. It is coming. And so it's at those moments that you go, I'm not certain. How many of you seniors will go, right now, I am not certain of my future, right? I don't know, right? That's where most seniors are. It's where you guys are going to be shortly. And that's where the moments of faith come in. To go, right now, my faith is, am I going to trust the Lord for my future? And that's, I think, where a lot of you guys are right now. Uncertain times are what test our faith. And then here's the thing as we look to the future. That change brings hope to the future. Change can bring, I should say, hope to the future. You know, how many of you guys been on the LA trip with us? Juniors, seniors who've been down there? One of the things about the LA trip is Roy's down there during New Year's. And I've been over the New Year's weekend a lot to church services down there. And anybody been to Open Arms Church down there in LA, right? We go there and it's in the hood, it's in the ghetto, right? And we're down there and it's always the New Year, and most of them are recovering addicts. Most of the people there have been addicted to things or been off the street, and they're trying to pull them in. They've been drug addicts, been alcoholics, and they're living there. And usually this New Year's speech every year, it's about the same. It's, well, I made some mistakes in the past, and they look back, and but this is our year to be clean. Everybody goes, yeah, amen, amen, preach it. And this is our year to do this, amen, preach it. And they could say anything. This is our year to sprout wings and fly. And they're like, we're doing it. Like they're just super excited about the future. And I think in a sense that's what happens when change can come in our life is we can look to the future and go, what does this mean for our future as we look forward? For me, I just have to go, okay, God, it's in your hands. My future's in your hands, so God, lead and direct me. You need to guide me. When you come to seasons of change, seniors, and different times in your life, you need to get to those places and go, okay, God, I'm then going to have hope that tomorrow can be even better than today. Like a hope for tomorrow. And I believe that's ultimately what our hope in Christ does, that he causes us to grow and that our tomorrow can be better than our today and certainly better than our yesterday. I think as I look at this youth group, the amazing group of leaders here, your hub leaders, look at this church, look at this building, look at our leaders, look at our pastors, look at guys like Brandon, Mike, and Corinne, and Nicole, and Reese, and just the team of people. I have a hope for the future. I believe that it's been a great season of ministry that God's allowed me to be a part of here at ABC. But when I look to the future, and I'm not just saying this, and I'm not just blowing smoke, I believe this, I have great hope. And honestly, it's not about those people or even those leaders. Ultimately, it's because I believe God has been doing a work through this church to the youth of this community for so long, and I don't believe he's done. I believe that God is going to continue to use this church to reach the youth of this community. And I believe we could look back and say, oh, those are great years, and we could relive the glory days and all those things, and we can look now and go, oh, what? Or we could go, maybe it's not about Adam. Maybe it's not about you. Maybe this is about God and about what he's doing. And I believe that, yes, it's a season of change, but I believe that as we move forward, that there's a lot of hope for the future. And that there can be some amazing change that can happen. And that people are still going to be reached. And you have friends that don't know Christ that are going to be reached. And that you guys someday might be hub leaders in this very room. And you'll be sitting here years from now, and they'll put up a picture of me like Rich. And somebody will go, this guy's name was Adam. And everybody's will laugh or whatever. And it's like, this guy was my youth pastor. And I believe that a lot of you are going to influence the next generation because that's how it's been working here. A lot of your hub leaders, they came right up through this youth ministry, and they just poured right back into it. Your junior high leaders, same thing. A lot of you are going to do it. Whether it's here or whether it's somewhere else, that's ultimately what God calls us to do. He calls us to pour out our cup. He just says, here's what I know. Here's where I've been. And I believe God's going to continue to do that here. And he's already starting to do it. As I'm seeing some of these older kids and some of you guys and, seeing the CJs and the different people that are, I know that, because I mentioned that was with my son, that email, but there are a lot of you that are beginning to pour into the next generation. That's going to continue to happen. And so my hope is, yes, it's in the leadership. Yes, it's in the, in everything, but ultimately it's in the Lord, knowing that the Lord is going to use you to reach a generation for Christ continually. And yes, this can be a place where you can come and your needs can continue to be met, where you can meet with amazing small group leaders, where you can get amazing teaching, that all those things can take place. But it's not about a person. And it's certainly not about me. It's about God, and it's about what he's doing. And he just chooses to use people. You read through the Bible, and you read through thousands of years of history, And you can imagine the people back then had leaders come through and they're like, oh, there's not going to be another leader. Where's our next Abraham? Where's our next Moses? Where's our next Joshua? I'm not comparing me to them, certainly. But I think we get to different things, and it's God just raises up another leader, and he raises up another leader, and he raises up another leader. And those leaders lead God's people, and God's doing that here in our midst. And I believe we have amazing, amazing things in our future. So here's what it's going to look like specifically as we kind of close up tonight, and before we go to hubs and all those sorts of things. So next week, I am going to be speaking at Hume, Hawaii, so I will not be here next Wednesday night. I'll actually be, the camp will be ending Wednesday, and then I'm bringing my daughter Dana, so we're probably going to be, it's like 3 hours early there. We're probably going to be surfing while you guys have youth group next week in Hawaii in the warm water. So we're going to be out there doing that. I get back next Thursday, so I won't be here. It's a commitment I've had for a long time. I'd love to be here with you to walk you through this change, but this is a trip I just can't cancel. So going to be doing that next week. Mike Smith's going to be here next week, and Mike wanted for me to let you guys know to really be here next week. Mike's going to be teaching. He wants to kind of talk to you really about the future as you guys look forward. Tonight was a lot of looking back. Mike wants to kind of cast that vision for the future. Mike is also going to be here with Brandon next week, and so that you guys can meet Brandon, that you guys can hang out with him, and so Mike and Brandon will be here together next week. So I think it's going to be an exciting time, so I'd love for you guys to show up next week. I'll be back the week after, just gone next week, so it's not like, where'd Adam go? He's gone forever. I'll be back next week. Don't worry about it. Just not this next week. And then also what we're going to do, it's going to be really cool. For a few weeks, we're going to have some of the different hub groups and grades are going to be able to hang out with Brandon and Jenna in the station, and we're just going to have you guys chill in there, maybe do a little bit of eating and just hang out in the station during hubs. So next week we'll start that. We'll pull out a grade, and you guys can just really get to know them. And so Brandon and I will be, around, and Mike. For the rest of the school year, you'll be seeing all of us on stage, and we'll all kind of be here. And Brandon he just wants to get to know you guys. And so I hope when he's here next week, you guys are on your best behavior and that you're really friendly to him. And give him and Jenna a big hug and all those kind of things. I know you guys will. And so Mike will be back with him next week. So that's a little bit of what that looks like. In the meantime, by the way, get out there and make some really cool videos. I want to see some cool videos next week. So applause to you guys who made those documentaries. Well done on those. We look forward to some cool videos for next week. There's awesome prizes. The best actor, actress, and different people, you get like $250 towards a Highlife event. Each individual week, you get $50. So get out there and make some videos for next week. Hey, I want to pray, and then I'm going to send you guys to hub groups tonight and allow for you guys to talk through these things a little bit. God, we do thank you that this isn't about us. I thank you that this isn't about me, but that it's about you and what you're doing. It's your story. God, we just get to be a little part of it. And tonight, as we even look back through the history of what you've done in young people here in this community through this church, we give you the glory. We celebrate it for you, for those leaders that are here who have even come through this ministry, and for those high school students who are here tonight who are someday going to be maybe even hub group leaders here. God, we thank you for the way that all works. In the midst of this seasonal change in my life and in our lives, we put it in your hands and we look to the future with hope, knowing that some incredible days are ahead. God, I thank you for the amazing people that I've got to work with here. I thank you for this incredible part of my season. It's been a joy. And I stand up in front of these high school kids every week. It's one of the greatest privileges of my life that I'll never forget. I thank you for it. God, we love you so much. And all God's kids said, amen. Thanks, guys. We will see you back here next week. I won't, but you will. So, see you guys.